So rather than writing a diary from the parents' point of view, I think we'll write a diary from George's point of view again, but this time we've got more information about what's happening. Okay, so where are we? No, I need to open the Word document. Here we are. So again, we need to remember the date, past tense, informal language, personal uses, such as I, that's capital I. Now let's see if this works. I've had some trouble with the... Right, so before we start writing our diary, I think it's a good idea to collect all the information we've got from this chapter. So what can we remember? So can people list what happens at the beginning? What's the very first thing that occurs? Okay, yeah, next, her body starts smoking. Okay, next one. What's next? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, but I think first of all something else happens, doesn't it? Mm. So, okay, I'm just going to mute. The sizzling sound, yeah, I suppose we spoke about that. Oh yeah, water spouts out of her, yeah? Okay. She feels like something funny is happening in her belly, okay? And let me check what's next. Oh, and here she starts bouncing up and down as well. Yeah. And then here she starts swelling up. Okay, and then she starts twisting sharply and does a flip, and then she's frozen. Okay, and this is the bit where she finally starts growing, slowly at first. Right, so now you can see this is just a list of things. I do not want your diary to look like this. Okay, you've got to write it in a more interesting way. Just like when Roald Dahl wrote the book is written in a more interesting way. It's not just a list of things. It wouldn't be a very good story if it was. And the same goes for a diary. Obviously, it's not the same as a story, but you can't just write a list of things that happen. At first, she feels like there is a fire in her belly. Next, her body starts smoking. He emptied a jug of water in her mouth. What things would you have to change to this list? I'll put it in bullet points to show that it's a list. What things would you have to change to this list to make it into a diary? That's good, yeah, you should use your connectives, time connectives. I know I've used some in here, but not really that many. I've put out first, next, finally. But you can use other connectives. You know, despite this, suddenly, there's other ways you can connect the sentences. So that's good. I do not want it in a list. I want you to connect each sentence somehow. I haven't even written these as proper sentences because I haven't put a full stop or anything in them. Okay, thank you. Yep, that's who's writing the diary. So I said you should do it from George's point of view. So, yeah, so you're right. For example, George would say grandma. He wouldn't say she. He might do, but you'd start with grandma, and then maybe later on you'd use she. Okay, as long as it's clear that you're talking about grandma. But what about he? How would I change this he? Yeah, so you've got to write it from your point of view. Okay, you can describe it in your own words. You can also add adjectives. They're describing words, and adverbs, which describe the verb. Okay, you can use those because this list is a bit boring to read. Yeah, even for a diary, it's a bit boring. Okay, I'll quickly do a run through of all the changes. So this is just a list. Therefore, as was mentioned before, you need connectives to connect them. You can't just leave them on separate lines like this. You've got to make it into a paragraph. Okay, and you do that by you can use time connectors, but you can also use words like suddenly, all of a sudden, next, then, Then's a bit of a boring one. Next, you have to turn it into the past tense. It's all written in the present tense. You must turn it into the past tense. Is not in the past, okay? All needs to be in the past. Next, you should write it from your point of view. So you need to use I instead of he. And sometimes you can use the word she, but you first need to explain who you're talking about by using grandma. Yeah, you'll use grandma more often than well, we haven't mentioned grandma at all here. Finally, of course, you need to remember the date and write Dear Diary as well, and just improve the language, adverbs and adjectives, and you can make it more personal by using slang words or phrases which you wouldn't use in a formal essay to make it your own.